Namaste, Satnam. My name is Susannah Lorenzo, and this is Holistic Bridges Puentes. It's a short message just to say thank you to the people who have been commented on my videos, especially the ones where I read Women Who Run with the Wolves. So I'm here back. I was kind of disappeared, missing, because nobody was watching or listening. So when you leave a comment, you bless my work and you encourage me to continue making videos. So if you would like to leave a comment and tell me what you like most about this a small channel, tiny channel, but everything is made with love, passion, and blessings. Thank you very much. We are reading Women Who Run with the Wolves. We are reading the introduction, and this is the third part. If you would like to listen to the previous part of the introduction, please find the previous videos. Collecting the essence of stories is a constant paleontologic endeavor. The more a story bones, the more likely the integral structure can be found. The more whole the stories, the more subtle twists and turns of the psyche are presented to us, and the better opportunity we have to apprehend and evoke our soul work. When we work the soul, she, the wild woman, creates more of herself. As a child, I was lucky to be surrounded by people from many of the old European countries and Mexico. Many members of my family, my neighbors, and friends had recently arrived from Hungary, Germany, Romania, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Serbo-Croatia, Russia, Lithuania, and Bohemia, as well as Jalisco, Michoacán, Juárez, and many of the aldeas fronteriza villages of the Mexico-Texas-Arizona borders. They and many others, Native Americans, people from Appalachia, Asian immigrants, and many African American families from the South came to farm, to pick, to work in the ash pits and steel mills, the breweries, and in domestic jobs. Most were not educated in the academic sense, yet they were intensely wise. They were the bearers of a valuable and almost pure oral tradition. Many of my family and neighboring people who surrounded me had survived forced labor camps, displaced person camps, deportation camps, and concentration camps, where the storytellers among them had lived a nightmare version of Scheherazade. Many had had their family lands taken, had lived in immigration jails, had been repatriated against their wills. From these rustic storytellers, I first learned the tales people tell when life may turn to death and death may turn to life at any moment. Because their transmissions to me were so filled with suffering and with hope, when I later grew old enough to read fairy stories printed in books, the latter seemed curiously starched and ironed flat in comparison. As a young adult, I migrated west toward the continental divide. I lived amidst loving Jewish, Irish, Greek, Italian, Afro-American, and Alsatian strangers who became kindred spirits and friends. I've been blessed to know some of the rare and old Latino communities from the southern west USA, such as Trampas and Truchas, New Mexico. I was fortunate to spend time with Native American friends and relatives from the Inuit in the north through the Pueblo and Plains peoples in the west to the Nahuas, Lancorones, Tehuanas, Huicholes, Siris, Maya Quiches, Maya Cachiqueles, Mesquitos, Cunas, Nazca Quichuas, and Jíbaros in Central and South America. I've traded stories with sister and brother healers at kitchen tables and under grape arbors in hen houses and dairy barns, and while patting tortillas, tracking wildlife, and sewing the millionth cross-stitch. I've been lucky to share the last pole of Chile, to sing with gospel women so as to raise the dead, and to sleep under stars in houses without roofs. I've sat down to the fire or dinner, or both, in Little Italy, Polish town, the hill country, Los Barrios, and other ethnic communities throughout the urban Midwest and Far West, and most recently traded stories about sparats, bad ghosts, with man-griot friends in the Bahamas. I have been double lucky that wherever I've gone, the children, the matrons, the men in their prime, and the old coots and crones, the soul artists, have crept out of the woods, jungles, meadows, and sandhills to regale me with the cause and cables, and I too to them. There are many ways to approach stories. The professional folklorist, the Jungian, Freudian, or other sort of analyst, the ethnologist, anthropologist, theologian, archaeologist, each has a different method, both in collecting tales and the use to which they are put. Intellectually, the way I developed my work with the stories was through my training in analytical and archetypal psychology. For more than half a decade during my psychoanalytical education, I studied amplification of leitmotifs, archetypal symbology, world mythology, ancient and popular iconology, ethnology, world religions, and interpretation. Viscerally, however, I come to stories as cantadora, keeper of the old stories. I come from a long line of tellers, old Hungarian women who might as easily tell while sitting on wooden chairs with their plastic pocketbooks on their laps, their knees apart, their skirts touching the ground, or while bringing the neck of the chicken, and cuentistas, old Latina women who stand robust of breast, hips wide, and cry out the story ranchera style. Both clans storytell in the plain voice of women who have lived blood and babies, bread and bones. For us, a story is a medicine which strengthens and enriches the individual and the community. Those who have taken on the responsibilities of this craft and are committed to the Newman behind the craft are direct descendants of an immense and ancient community of holy people, troubadours, bards, griots, cantadoras, cantors, traveling poets, bums, hags, and crazy people. I once dreamt I was telling stories and felt someone patting my foot in encouragement. I looked down and saw that I was standing on the shoulders of an old woman who was staring my ankles and smiling at me. I said to her, No, come stand on my shoulders, for you are old and I am young." No, she insisted, "this is the way it is supposed to be." I saw that she stood on the shoulders of a woman far older than she, who stood on the shoulders of a woman even older, who stood on the shoulders of a woman in robes, who stood on the shoulders of another soul, who stood on the shoulders. I believed the old dream woman about the way it was supposed to be. The nurture for telling stories come from the might and endowments of my people who have gone before me. In my experience, the telling moment of the story draws its power from a towering column of humanity, joined one to the other across time and space, elaborately dressed in the rags and robes of nakedness of their time, and filled to the bursting with life still being lived. If there is a single source of a story and the Newman of a story, this long chain of humans is it. Story is far older than the art and science of psychology, and will always be the elder in the equation no matter how much time passes. One of the oldest ways of telling, which intrigues me greatly, is the passionate trance state, wherein the teller senses the audience, be it an audience of one or many, and then enters the state in the world between words, where a story is attracted to the trance teller and told through her. The trance teller calls on El Duende, the wind that blows soul into the faces of listeners. A trance teller learns to be psychically double-jointed through the meditative practice of a story, that is, training oneself to undo certain psychic gates and ego apertures in order to let the voice speak, the voice that is older than the stones. When this is done, the story may take any trail, be turned upside down, be filled with porridge and dumped out for a poor person's feast, be filled with gold for the taking, or chase the listener into the next world. The teller never knows how it will come out, and that is at least half of the moist magic of a story. This is a book of tellings about the ways of the wild woman archetype, To try to diagram her, to draw boxes around her psychic life would be contrary to her spirit. To know her is an ongoing process, a lifelong process, and that is why this work is an ongoing work, a lifelong work. So here are some stories to apply to yourself as soul vitamins. Some observations, some map fragments, some little pieces of pine pitch for fastening feathers to trees to show the way, and some flattened underbrush to guide the way back to El Mundo Subterráneo, the underground world, our psychic home. Stories set the inner life into motion, and this is particularly important where the inner life is frightened, wedged, or cornered. Story greases the hoist and pulleys, it causes adrenaline to surge, shows us the way out, down or up, and for our trouble, cuts for us fine wide doors in previously blank walls, openings that lead to the dreamland, that lead to love and learning, that lead us back to our own real lives as knowing wildish women. Stories like Bluebeard bring us news of just what to do about the women's wound that will not cease its bleeding. Stories like Skeleton Woman demonstrate the mystical power of relationship and how deadened feeling can return to life and deep loving once again. The gifts of older Mother Death are to be found in the character of Baba Yaga, the old wild hag, the little doll who shows the way when all seems lost, raises one of the lost womanly and instinctually arts to the surface again in Vasilisa the Wise. Stories like La Loba, a bone woman in the desert, teach out the transformative function of the psyche. The Handless Maiden recovers the lost stages of the old initiation rites from ancient times, and as such offers a timeless and lifelong guidance for all the years of a woman's life. It is our brush with the wild nature that drives us not to limit our conversations to human, not to limit our most splendid movements to dance floors, nor our ears only to music made by human-made instrument, nor our eyes to thought beauty, nor our bodies to approved sensations, not our minds to those things we all agree upon already. All these stories present the knife of insight, the flame of the passionate life, the breath to speak what one knows, the courage to stand what one sees without looking away, the fragrance of the wild soul. This is a book of women's stories, held out as markers along the path. They are for you to read and contemplate in order to assist you toward your own natural won freedom, your caring for self, animals, earth, children, sisters, lovers, and men. I'll tell you right now, the doors to the world of the wild self are few but precious. If you have a deep scar, that is a door. If you have an old story, that is a door. If you love the sky and the water so much you almost cannot bear it, that is a door. If you yearn for a deeper life, a full life, a sane life, that is a door. The material in this book was chosen to embolden you. The work is offered as a fortification for those on their way, including those who toil in difficult inner landscapes, as well as those who toil in and for the world. We must strive to allow our souls to grow in their natural ways and to their natural depths. The wildish nature does not require a woman to be a certain color, a certain education, a certain lifestyle or economic class. In fact, it cannot thrive in an atmosphere of enforced political correctness, or by being bent into old burnt-out paradigms. It thrives on fresh sight and self-integrity. It thrives on its own nature. So whether you are an introvert or extrovert, a woman-loving woman, a man-loving woman, or a God-loving woman, or all of the above, whether you are possessed of a simple heart or the ambitions of an Amazon, whether you are trying to make it to the top or just make it through tomorrow, whether you be spicy or somber, regal or roughshod, the wild woman belongs to you. She belongs to all women. To find her, it is necessary for women to return to their instinctive lives, their deepest knowing. So, let us push on now and remember ourselves back to the wild soul. Let us sing her flesh back onto our bones. Shed any false coats we have been given. Don the true coat of powerful instinct and knowing. Infiltrate the psychic lands that once belonged to us. Unfurl the bandages, ready the medicine. Let us return now, wild women howling, laughing, singing up the one who loves us so. For us the issue is simple. Without us, wild woman dies. Without wild woman, we die. Para vida, for true life, both must live. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. I hope I will be reading soon, starting chapter 1, the whole resurrection of the wild woman. Stay blessed.